people? It's your boy Junes coming to you guys live, representing the ROD, back with another segment. And on this topic, I'm going to talk about something that we all experience, we all go through, and still go through being colored people in America, and in some cases across the world. I want to talk about racism. Yes, racism. We are in an age of time where equality is being shouted out from everybody. Whether you be black, whether you be Asian, whether you be transgender, we march, we stand our ground, we say certain things, and in return, in retrospect, some voices are heard. But for some apparent reason, when it comes from us shouting and us yelling and us complaining, it's always, I hear you, we working on it. But then you see things like sports, and you see how when we as individuals attack each other, there's never no pushback. There's never no enough is enough. This is not going to be tolerated. This is not going to be accepted. It's always okay as long as we are an attack amongst each other. But let it be a Jewish person that's under attack, verbally, physically, financially. Let any one of these situations take place, and we gotta fix this. There's a term behind that. It's called anti-Semitic. We hear these all the times. Now we fast forward to 2021. There's another law. It's called the anti-Asian hate bill law, whatever. And now look, we got another one. We got the LGBTQ X, Y, and Z bill that protects them. That protects them from hatred, racism, whatever you want to call it. They are protected. But here we are. People that was brought here on ships, murdered, slaughtered, killed, kidnapped, put into prison, given drugs, given alcohol, giving our sisters this light of being a sex object instead of a well-respected woman. We get all of these. We get all of these things right here. All of that. But not one bill, not one conversation, not one consideration, not one law. Now I hear people saying, oh, we need police reform. We don't need none of that. Reforming them doesn't do anything. And we all know by them reforming, it's just giving a more sensitive approach towards the same systematic format that's designed and still put into place to destroy a person of color. Let's keep it 100. Okay? But the thing that bothers me, and again, this is me, the thing that bothers me is 2021, and all of these things is taking place and it's transpiring, but yet nobody, not one person is saying, well, what about these black folks? And then you'll turn around and then you'll see black folks doing all the dirty work. The Black Lives Matter, the Civil Rights Movement, all of these things that we're doing to show the people our struggle, for the world to see. And in return, nothing is done to protect us, but things is used. We do the dirty work, but then things and rules are implemented to protect others. So like when you see the whole civil rights movement, or equality this, equality that, it was purposely done for people of color, for us to be accepted. So, they always put us in the forefront. But when you look at the broad spectrum of things, the only people that's being beneficial to that is the LGBTQ, the Jewish community, the Asian community, the Italian community. All communities is being protected, but those that march, but those that stand up, but those that been seen, been shown, been telling, been pointing, been letting people know, look, this is what we're going through. And here we are, racism still is in full effect. How many brothers and sisters is being killed by NYPD? How many sisters is being raped and kidnapped, never to be seen? Hence, these sex traffickers. All of these things is taking place within our community. And all we do all the time is ask for help, but the help never comes. So it leaves me the question, like, what is it? I know what it is, because everything is spiritual before it's physical. I know where the hatred comes from, but I just want to ask my people, those that's not in the know, what is it about us that these individuals hate us so much? Why is we the only ones on the face of this earth that deals with more racism than anybody? Why is that? Why is that we're the ones that deal with racism based on education and teaching? We gotta face racism at our workplace. You gotta face racism where we live. You gotta face racism at our in the hospitals, the doctor's office, and even now with this so-called COVID nonsense, we gotta face racism even on TV. Even on TV. And it's so bad, and we're so sucked in and so lost in the source that we start to even have racism amongst each other. We got quote unquote black people racist against their own. You got the bougie blacks, the coony blacks. Then you got the black blacks. Then you got the have-not blacks. Then you got the wannabe black, but not black because you don't come from that type of black. You got all of this. And guess what? Is racism within that. You're racist amongst your own. Let me tell you how racist we are against our own people. We're so racist that we will see a black man that's going through something, and he will ask for money. Predominantly a homeless man or a homeless woman will ask for some money. And these individuals stand outside, let's say from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, from the areas that these people is standing in. They pass or have seen over 100 cars. 100 cars. And if each 100 cars just gave $1, that could have made a big difference for that person's life. But we got this racism amongst our own, because I'm not giving him my money. He might do X, Y, and Z with it. He might just be hustling. So what? That's not our decision. That's not your job. That's not. I'm not in no position to say I'm not giving you $1 because I feel like you're gonna take it to do foolishness with it. That's not for you to say. But if that same person ran inside your house, did X, Y, and Z, then what? We get programmed to have this hate, and the hate is generated of being spoon-fed this racism that's been going on for over 400 years. And now we are in 2021. And the only people that I see that's excelling or that's being protected and that's falling into the umbrella of racism or hate is everybody other than black folks. You know, there was only one time, I think it was one time in the year, in my existence being on this earth, where the pointing of racism or the hatred wasn't on us. It was on the quote unquote Arabians, the Arabs, when 9/11 took place. That was short lived. That was short lived for I'd say 3 months. That was the only time I seen Caucasians, people of color, literally stand side by side. I'm not saying that racism was eradicated, it was just an obsolete, but the focal point wasn't on people of color. The focal point was against those that did the wrong. Those who call themselves Arabs, Muslims, whatever you want to call it. But now we here right now, and look what we left with is racism. And why I'm talking about racism, because racism is bigger than what people think it is. You guys are thinking that racism is somebody that don't like somebody for the particular race of their skin. Nah, the hatred that they have for people of color is beyond the skin, people. Like I said before, if you have a bloodline, a particular bloodline, be prepared to accept everything that comes along with it. I have the whole thing on YouTube. You can go check it out. Repent and Die podcast on YouTube. Look it up, and that title alone in itself will be there. But racism. How do we stop this racism? Because I'm telling you right now, all of this marching, all of this Black Lives Matter, all of this, we need equality, we must stand for George Floyd, we must do X, Y, and Z, we must vote for Biden, all of these things that we're doing, it's not getting nothing done. Oh yeah, he was convicted. I'm still waiting for the sentence. And who's to tell if that person was really even him? I never seen somebody that was convicted and was as calm as he was. It's like it's theater. But that's neither here nor there. But what's here right now is the fact that we fighting and we want injustice, we want acceptance, we want liberation, we want. But everything that we want, everything that we look for, everything that we will put in a bill to go into Congress to look over, to sign off, for some apparent reason, all the ideas are seen, taken, and put into something else. Meanwhile, the bill that was written by us, that was put together, is always put to the side. It's always put to the side, and then it's left there. The Emmett Till bill, still there. And mind you, we did the protesting, we did the marching. We the ones that came up with the I can't breathe. Black Lives Matter. It went from Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter to now Gay Lives Matter. You get where I'm going with this? Is we are only the pawn to the game. There's no we don't have no positional sheets as jokers. We don't have no positional seats outside of just being the pawn. And the reason why I had to talk about this, because I want my brothers and sisters to understand that when you do something over and over again, expecting change to come, that makes you insane. We are becoming insane. Not only are we becoming insane, we are becoming acceptive to whatever these people tell you. We're so lost into the source that we will openly, the one thing that we have control over, which is your body, we will give it up to these people to put whatever they want inside of you. No questions asked. We have our own people that will stand up and say, I'm not asking no questions. I'm just going to go do it. This is where we at. This is where we at. And and the reason why these two things go together is I want you to understand that if these people can't even put a bill in place, to protect you, what makes you believe these people could put a vaccine in place to keep you healthy and alive and protected? Just think about that. Just think about that. And another thing is, we know that there's racism dealing with the medical field. We know that when it comes to our health, is hatred and racism behind that. Let me give you an example. When you go, I live in New York, so when you go to places like Long Island, and I'm not talking about no Hampstead, I'm not talking about those areas. I'm talking about the areas where it's predominantly Caucasians. Ask yourself, how many McDonald's do you see there? Ask yourself, how many liquor stores do you see there? Ask yourself those questions. But when you come into, the hood, the ghetto, the have-nots, I could take you to a place right on Brooklyn where you can find a McDonald's, you can find a Wendy's, you can find a Popeyes, all on one sector, literally. I could walk. Matter of fact, I could walk you to a Wendy's. I could walk you to a Popeyes. I could walk you to a McDonald's. I could walk you to a Subways. I could walk you to a fish fry, and all they selling is what? Crab legs, shrimp. I could walk you to all of these. But when you go into these Caucasian communities, you get the Walmarts. you get the Whole Foods, you get the Trader Joe's, you get all of that. And even the food that they sell, when it becomes a healthy, you're gonna get the Panera bread. You're gonna get that in their community. You don't get that in the hood. And you get everything that I mentioned. Hence, with me saying that, not one time do you see or question, wait, and these people really trying to take care of us and want to protect for the greater good of people of color? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. See, I bring this up because we must understand that we are being hated on in every aspect. When you go to these schools is not teaching children about, and I'm talking about predominantly children of color, they're not teaching them true history. Our history doesn't start until after slavery. That's when our history starts. And every time we are told our history, we are always reminded of the racism that took place then. And it's like they want us to subconsciously act like that level of racism is not what it is now. When in fact, the level of racism now is 10 times worse now than it is then. And you probably wondering why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because back then, when we was free, we was our own bosses. Don't fall for the narrative, oh, we didn't have no jobs and all this. Let me tell you something. I know people that's from the South that have acres of land, that had farm, that had this, that was doing just fine. Nobody's complaining. People came to the upper parts, the northern parts of America, just to, yes, we wanted more money, but yet wanted to just experience something different. But let's not act like people down south did not have acres of land. I'm talking about acres. They got a nice house in the center of the facility and has a big ass land that's all for them. Children running wild doing X, Y, and Z. They come to America, they come to New York, they come to Chicago, they come to all these places for a better living. But we're not gonna act. We're not going to act like racism then was worse than the racism that's now, when in fact it's the other way around. You understand me? It's like we're being sold this fear tactic, and it's to the point where it's annoying. I'm tired of every February I gotta see children. I gotta see children being sicked on by dogs. I gotta hear about the Alabama bombing. I gotta hear about all these things. They tell you all these things, but they don't never talk about Black Wall Street. And if they do talk about it, they talk about the outcome. They never talk about the stuff that we've done as individuals on our own. How we was trading with other countries like China. We was doing business with other countries before these people who didn't even know what was going on. They was still paying taxes to England, where we over here doing business with China. We over here doing business with the Arabians. We doing business. We out here trying to live. And they destroyed that. Another form of racism. These people do all these things to us all the time. But yet here we are, 2021, begging, still seeing racism, but yet nobody seems to understand that this hatred is never going to stop. But what can stop, because here I come with the conclusion, what can stop is the hatred and the racism we have amongst each other. We can stop that. And I'm gonna have a show called "We Make Money to Spend Money, but We Can't Lend Money." I'm gonna have that. Stay tuned for that. And that was what I was gonna come out with first, but then just something, I just seen something and it just bothered me, and I just had to talk about it, because this whole racism nonsense is really overwhelming. And yet here we are continuously running to these people for help, running to these people for support, begging these people to stop doing X, Y, and Z. But then we doing the same exact thing that they doing to us, that we begging for to stop. We doing that amongst each other. I tell you guys all the time, love is the key to open all doors. If you want a door to open, if you want to create a foundation, that foundation must be created of honesty, love, and truth. and respect, of course. But as long as those things is not in place, as long as we running around feeling like we better than the next black man, we are better than the next black sister, my child is better than your child, as long as we walk around with this mentality, we will never achieve. We will forever receive the short end of the stick. And before I leave, I want you to remember this. You see all the things that happened to these Asian people that took place with the Asian crimes and all that, whether it's real or not, I'm gonna paint this picture for you. All of that took place. You didn't see one Asian community in an uproar. You didn't see one Asian community protesting. You didn't see one Asian community marching nowhere. You know why? Because they got a foundation. They got unity. They don't talk. They don't talk it with their words. They walk it. They know their power. Us must know our power. And for us to know these things and to hold on to it and acknowledge it, that's when they're gonna respect it. But as long as we're moving the way that we're moving amongst each other, the hatred, the racism that's faced upon each other, we will never get the job done. And you will forever be at the bottom. And you will forever be a beggar and not a leader. You're gonna be a beggar and not an earner. You're gonna be a sucker. And God then put us on this earth, people of color, to be nobody's sucker. I want you to remember that. It's your boy Junes, man. You know what I represent, man. That ROD. See you when you see me, man. You know, the only way up. All the way up. See you there. It's either you get down or you lay down. I'ma holler. Peace.